Hello, good evening, good afternoon, ladies. Hi, how are you ladies doing for a Wednesday hump day? Yeah, it's already the month of February, right? We already passed January. It was so quick. You know, we had the New Year's, we had the Sankranti festival, and then we had Republic Day / Australia Day. What else do you want in 1 month, isn't it? It's just a bonanza. And coming up in February, I don't know about the Hindu festivals, but I don't know about the February the 14th, which is the Valentine's Day coming up. Hi Revati, thank you for joining in. Thank you. I've got mom as well with me. She will be appearing in all my Wholesome Wednesday sessions. We are matching today. I'll tell you about the saris. There is a little spiel to the saris today. So how was your Wednesday? So I can only see Revati here. You have to chat with me, Revati. How was your Wednesday? All good? Exciting? It just comes and goes, isn't it? And for me, it just comes so quickly. By the time I realize I'll be getting ready to set the next Wednesday session, it's kind of like, you know, it just goes and comes, and it's kind of like, you know, become part and parcel of my life now. Let me see how far I can go. I think probably with all your support, I think I should be able to do. Revati is saying, good to know, Revati. Where are you from, Revati? People who I don't know, you can just say hello, saying which place you're from, India. Like, you know, Bangalore, Mysore. How is your day, ma'am? Oh, it was good. My Wednesdays are busy, but still I smile. It was awesomely busy today. Yeah, so it was very busy, but still I am smiling. That's the best way. Like, you know, you have to forget and you know, just leave work aside, come back, relax, and this is my kind of therapeutic session for me. Oh, you're from Kollegal. Wow, that's very good to know. Thanks, Rajani, for joining in. Thank you. Triveni Ashok, thank you. Hi, Triveni. Where are you from, Triveni? I know Rajani is from Sydney. Where are you from, Triveni? It's good to know I've got Kollegal here. Add all your friends, Revati. You should be having loads of friends. And Triveni, you also add all your friends. And then let us grow together. I need more people on my platform so that I can hunt the talent. If you, Triveni or Revati, if you both are talented in anything, just message me on Messenger. I will be able to chat to you, ladies. Come on, ladies. Yes, it's picking up. So let us start. Triveni is saying, I am from, hang on, I have to wear my glasses. Oh, Bangarpet. Wow, Bangarpet. Pani Puri, Bangarpet. Kuruklu. So which is good. Excellent. I know Banga, when I left, it was in 1993 when I left India. So it was, I think a few years later was the colorless Pani Puri. North Indians, if you don't know what colorless pani is for Pani Puri, when you eat the Golgappas, Bangarpet is famous for its colorless Pani Puri, like, you know, the pani what you make for Pani Puris. So there you go. I'm really surprised. I would like to know the recipe for that one. How can it be colorless but yet tasty, isn't it? It's yum. All right, I have got a good number here. Come on, let us start. So Triveni is saying Bangarpet is famous for Pani Puri. once, come and have it with us. Yes, definitely, I would love to. So, ladies, welcome to Wholesome Wednesday, session number 86. Today, it's all about saris, and I have a gorgeous lady from Sydney, yet a Bangalorean, who is into film production, and she is into feature films as well. And one of her movies, Here Out West, is releasing tomorrow. So what an honor to have a film producer on my platform. It's really an honor to have Mrs. Sheila Jayadev. I will be bringing her into the platform shortly. Let me just invite her while I have no, I have already sent. Try, Sheila. I have already sent you the invite, so it should let you accept. So I have already sent it, so I can't see you here, right? So let me wish the happy birthdays today. Today is Shruti Ajit, Shilpa Kailash Chandar, Sushma Prabhu Gujamagadi, Ramya Mutetu, Sudha KS, and Gauri Kashi. And I also wish a very happy birthday to all the gorgeous ladies who celebrated from last Wednesday up until today. Wishing all of you once again a very happy birthday. And then we talk about our national days, right? And then I'll talk about the saris which Mom and I have draped. There's a little story to that one. So national days today. Excellent, Sheila. You say you are here, but I just can't see you accept my invite. No, I just can't. It might be in your notification folder. If you can try looking at it, see whether it is still sitting there somewhere to accept. Radhika is saying hi auntie to my mom. Hello. So national days. Today is World Wetlands Day. If you don't know what wetlands is, Wetlands Day celebrates the adoption of the convention and spreads awareness of the world's vanishing wetlands, and they are a distinct ecosystem that is flooded by water either permanently or seasonally, and they play a very important role in the world's ecosystem, including protecting our foreshores, reducing the impact of floods, absorbing pollutants, improving water quality, providing habitats for animals and plants, and so on. And the next one is the World Play Your Ukulele Day. You know, the ukulele is similar to guitar. I'll just explain it to you. It encourages music lovers to get out of their four-stringed instrument and strum away. It's also a day to get people interested in the ukulele. It's a member of the guitar family of instruments. While the guitar has 6 strings, this ukulele only has 4, and they are much smaller than the guitars, and that's why people with smaller hands choose the ukulele over the guitar. And because of its smaller size, it's also a good instrument for kids. So I have often seen kids play this ukulele instrument. The next one is National Tater Tot Day. This is a kitchen staple. These are the bite size of golden deliciousness created from the scraps of making French fries, once which was used to feed cattle. It's like, you know, the potato bombs, what are they called, or potato gems they are called, but it has got the skin along with it. So that is what is a National Tater Tot Day. I had never heard of this. And then comes the National Heavenly Hash Day. It's something else to eat, which is my favorite. This one recognizes a family favorite that covers a variety of desserts with common ingredient, and that common ingredient is marshmallows. Wow, I love marshmallows. It can be mixed with chocolates, cakes, fruit salad, whipped cream, nuts, chocolate bar. And the one which I can relate to being an Australian is the Rocky Road. I bet all of you would be interested in rocky roads, isn't it? The next one is the National Ground Hog Day. I'm not into pets, but anyway, this is traditionally celebrated in US and Canada. And it seems so the groundhog awakens from his nap for a nice welcomed break during the winter in United States and Canada to see if he can see his shadow. Many believe if the groundhog sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. If this is so, he retreats into his den and goes back to sleep. However, if he does not see his shadow, the groundhog remains outside to play, and people celebrate believing spring is just around the corner. Oh, I didn't know this. Right. And today, as I mentioned, Mom and I are wearing silk saris. So I'll be posting it tonight. This is a gorgeous KSIC sari, which is from Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation Limited. And this has a GI tag, and it's one of its kind, which is manufactured in Mysore. Well, I have raved about KSIC saris. And the little spiel to that is, it was in 2018, the government of Karnataka said that all the ladies in Karnataka can get KSIC saris for reasonable price, because all these saris are quite expensive, and it was open to the general public, and it was a government initiative. And Mom was in Sydney at that time. It was in 2017, I believe, or maybe 2018, and Mom was in Sydney. And she was kind of like, saying, oh, why can't I get the sari? And she ended up sending one of her friends to fetch the sari, and it was not by choice. Like, you kind of like, you're just allocated a sari. And anyway, she ended up getting this. And if I tell you all what the price of this, normally I don't talk about price or anything, but I'm proud to say the price of this sari, which is 3,500 rupees. 4,000. Oh, she says 4,000. 4,000 rupees, a KSIC sari, which you don't get anywhere. And this is straight from the factory, all right? KSIC factory. Oh, it was for Gauri festival, so that's what she's saying. Anyway, so that's the spiel about this sari. And what Mom is wearing is a brand new sari. I was meant to wear that, as I told you all, I'll be wearing new saris. But since I hadn't draped this, I told, okay, you drape that, I'm going to drape this. And next time, probably you might see me in that because I haven't draped that. So this is also a pure silk sari from Priyadarshini. Normally, as I told you, I don't spell out where the saris are from. But I'm proud to present Priyadarshini saris. They are awesome saris. And it is actually a gift for me from one of my close friends. And both the saris have a geometric pattern, and this has golden jari with it. And this one is plain, and it's got beautiful. Even this one also has beautiful pallu, printed pallu. I'll be posting it tonight so that you can have a look at it. So this is the pallu. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's lightweight, and it's wash and wear, and it's really beautiful. So we both are in blues today. Actually, what Mom is wearing is the sari blouse from this sari, and well, I do have a blue for this one, but I ended up matching a black one. So that's the spiel about the saris for today. Well, not long to wait. I have Mrs. Sheila Jayadev. Let me try once again. Sheila, I'll try once again, Sheila. Let me see. Okay. Let me see whether I can only reply to you. Why is it not letting me add you? No, it's not letting me add. I'm sorry, Sheila. Try once again. Probably it might be sitting somewhere. I'm not sure why I can't. I'm so sorry. I have added you. It should be sitting somewhere for you in a notification folder, and see if you can accept that. While I'm doing that, I'll just do a brief introduction of you, and then I'll see whether I can add you in a while, just in case if it's kind of like, waiting for the system to kind of like, accept and then release. I don't know, it's just taking some time, but it should happen straight away, but it's not letting me do. And here you say, I have checked notifications, I had accepted the invite, but I can't see any further invitations, right? Okay, so I will introduce you, Sheila, and then probably I might finish off, and then you have to start the session, and I will be all the way round through prompting you with all questions, right? So, ladies, welcome to Wholesome Wednesday session number 86, and as I mentioned, it's all about sarees and film production. We're going to chat with Mrs. Sheila Jayadev, who is a film producer, and her much awaited movie, which is called Here Out West, will be releasing tomorrow, and the preview was held yesterday, and I am eager to watch as well. So I will be having her on the platform. Let me see if I'm able to bring her again. Otherwise, she'll be starting her session, right? So we'll just talk about a little bit of movies. A film, also called a movie or motion picture or moving picture, is a work of visual art used to simulate experiences that communicate ideas, stories, perceptions, feelings, beauty, or atmosphere through the use of moving images. These images are generally accompanied by sound, and more rarely are the sensory stimulations. The word cinema, short for cinematography, is often used to refer to filmmaking and the film industry, and to the art form that is the result of it. So this entertainment is the greatest socializing force in the world. It is one of the vast industries and is a reflection of the society we live in. The business of entertainment teaches one to be patient. At the end of the day, entertainment is just a curtain. So, a movie in general begins and ends with the producer. So what best way to introduce Mrs. Sheila Jayadev, a film producer who works across feature film and television series, and as I mentioned, Here Out West, a feature film releasing tomorrow, that is on the 3rd of February, throughout Australia. Some of her productions include the critically acclaimed miniseries Stateless, which premiered at the Berlinale 2020 and won 13 AACTA Awards, which stands for the Australian Academy of Cinema and Television Arts Awards. In 2016, she produced the multi-award winning feature film ALI'S Wedding, a Muslim romantic comedy. Both ALI'S Wedding and Stateless have been sold to Netflix. So it's in Netflix. If you get a chance, I would encourage you all to watch these movies. Sheila started her career as a lawyer firstly, as a criminal lawyer, and then as an entertainment lawyer. But she always had a burning desire to be involved in making films. In particular, Sheila is passionate about telling diverse stories that reflect and celebrate the multicultural society we live in. Sheila's most recent project is a highly anticipated feature film, Here Out West. The feature film premiered at the Sydney Film Festival in 2021 as the opening night film and received rave reviews from audiences and critics. As described by renowned film critic Margaret Pomeranz, who doesn't know her, Here Out West is a deeply moving multicultural mosaic of connected lives in Western Sydney. The film is written by 8 talented Western Sydney writers, directed by 5 powerhouse female directors, and features 9 languages. So the film opens in cinemas Australia-wide on the 3rd of February 2022, which is tomorrow. So there is a link you can watch and read the reviews, and there's a link to the trailer as well. So let us see whether I can invite Sheila again to the platform to ask her questions about her film production desire and what she had to undergo and how easy it was. I would like to throw questions at her right, left and center so that she can answer all the queries I have, and plus you ladies may have too. So get ready for those questions. Let me see whether I can add her for the last time. Otherwise, I'll finish this off and try again adding her, or I'll give her an opportunity to start the session. Okay, 1 second. No, sorry Sheila, I can't add you because it's already there and I can't activate that once again. So I'm going to finish this one off and I will ask you to start the session. Would you mind starting the session for me? And I can try adding you once again. Let me see whether... No, I don't want to confuse you. You start the session and I will prompt you all the way through. Yeah? All right. Thank you. Stay tuned, ladies. Don't run away. I'm just having difficulty adding her. She was only 5 minutes away from me. Probably I should have encouraged her to come to me. 1 second. I want to finish this one off.
Hi, Hema Auntie. I'm here. I wish I could add you to this. Here we go. I've just added you as a friend. Now I would love to be able to add you to this live chat. Let me see. Thank you. Let me know when I should, I guess, kick off. Otherwise, if I can add you to this live video, I would love to do that. Try and show a bit more. Okay, let me try. Do you have any tips on how I can do that? How do I add somebody? I'm so sorry. I should be good with this technology, but I have to say this is the first time I'm using a Facebook Live. So any tips on what I need to press to add you as a host to this? Oh, very strange. Okay, not quite working. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Yes, I'm loving getting back into this outfit. I have worn this at quite a few film events over the years. Whenever I've gone to events for ALI'S Wedding, and it always gets a lot of comments. It's really nice to wear something different and that represents my background, and you can sort of stand out amongst all the other cocktail dresses and all black outfits. It's actually a sky blue color, and yeah, so it's, yeah, pleased to be back in it. So yes, thank you for the introduction. As you heard, my background was in actually entertainment law, but to even rewind back a bit further, I've always wanted to get into film producing, but I've always known how tricky the film industry is. It's really hard to get a break and to get paid work as a producer or director or actor, as we all know. It's a really tough industry. So when I finished school, I did a double degree. I did law and media arts, thinking that while I make my way into the film industry and get more experience, I could at least earn an income being a lawyer. So that was the way I did it. During university, I thought I wanted to be a film director. And so I made a couple of short films. I also made a documentary as a director that was called Arranging Love, which was all about trying to demystify the arranged marriage and get rid of all the myths and the stereotypes about what an arranged marriage is. And I directed that, and that screened at a lot of film festivals. I then also wrote and directed a short film called Spy Sisters, which was about two ladies who longed to be on a fictional cooking show, and I'm still very proud of that short film. It was very well received. Basically, my interest has always been about trying to tell stories that reflect my background, that is the Indian community. So I worked as an entertainment lawyer while trying to make short films as a director. And then soon realized when I moved from criminal law into entertainment law that I actually was interested in being a producer. I didn't know what a producer did until I worked as an entertainment lawyer. I think a lot of people think that producers are just about raising the finance for a film and that's it. But I learnt being an entertainment lawyer that the producer actually has full oversight of the production, everything from choosing the script and working with writers and giving notes on the script and, trying to select the best director for the film, being part of the whole process from start to finish. So that appealed to me a lot, and I made the move into producing. So that was my journey to become a film producer. After I made ALI'S Wedding, I then started to get more approaches to produce other feature films and television series, and I could finally say goodbye to the law and work pretty much full time as a film producer. So yeah, that's been my journey to date. I've made ALI'S Wedding. Again, that was a Muslim romantic comedy set in the Iraqi community. Again, trying to always have diversity of stories in the films that I make. And at that time, I mean, it still is the case, but the Muslim community were widely misunderstood, and every single story we had about the Muslim community was something dark or to do with terrorists. And we just thought, enough's enough. We want to show that this is a loving community, just like we all are, and let's tell a romantic comedy story. So again, it's just about trying to tell authentic, true stories in the work that I make. After ALI'S Wedding, I made Stateless, the miniseries, which had Cate Blanchett in it, and it was a co-production with Cate Blanchett. She was an executive producer, and it was her idea. And that was a huge break for me. To make my first television series on a Cate Blanchett show was just amazing. And again, that was all about detention centres in Australia and the way Australia has treated refugees trying to come into the country so harshly. So again, we had quite a diverse cast telling us important story, one that needs to be told. So again, it reflects my imperative to tell stories that have some sort of meaning as well as can be engaging and entertaining. After that, that brings me to Here Out West, which, yes, is opening in cinemas tomorrow, which is very, very exciting. Here Out West is a co-production with another company, between my company and another company, and the whole reason for making the film was to give a pathway and an opportunity for emerging diverse writers to make a feature film, and also to set a film in Western Sydney, again, a region that has been not depicted truthfully and honestly. Often we see stories in Western Sydney, it might be about crime or drugs, or, you know, it looks quite dark and everybody's struggling, but we wanted to we wanted to show that Western Sydney is a place to be celebrated. It is all about family and community. We wanted to tell stories about migrant families and their children, and have those stories written by children of migrants who have either grown up in Western Sydney or worked there or have a connection to the place, which is my background as well. I mean, I grew up in Strathfield, but my dad still works in Greenacre. And you know, I had that bond with Western Sydney, even though now I don't live there. So we did a call out to find 8 writers to come forward to be part of what we call as an anthology feature film. So the feature film consists of 8 stories, but they're not just separated. Everything comes together because there's an underlying storyline. And we made that choice because we want audiences to experience this film as a full feature film rather than dipping in and out of stories. So the underlying story is about a grandmother who kidnaps her newborn granddaughter from hospital because the baby is about to be taken into state care because the mother is actually in prison. And in this impulsive moment, she decides to take the baby, and we follow the next 24 hours and all the different people that she runs into on that day. And through that idea of worlds colliding, we see all the various communities in Western Sydney, and as we try to work out what's going to happen. Is she going to give the baby back? Is she going to get caught? And so that is basically what we call the story engine. The film features 9 languages. So we have everything from Vietnamese to Bengali is in it. We've got Arabic. There's a Filipino chapter, so in Tagalog, Kurdish. So that I think is a first. We haven't seen, I think, a feature film that has 9 different languages in it. And a cast that has so many great new faces. You know, this is not just about seeing, you know, your standard Caucasian faces up on screen. It's about introducing a fresh, vibrant new cast that actually reflects what Western Sydney looks like, or the multicultural melting pot of it. Just looking at some of the questions. Yeah, so that was the background to why we chose Western Sydney. It's a region that is so huge. I think 2.1 million people in that region, and yet we don't see very many stories coming out of that region. So there's an inequality in what we're seeing on screen. So much of what we see in the movies is set in Bondi Beach or in the eastern suburbs. And why not this massive hub and business hub? As the, you know, economically, Western Sydney, I think, is the fastest growing. So that was the aim, to try and level the playing field, give people from Western Sydney an opportunity to make a feature film. And it did really well. We opened the Sydney Film Festival, which was just a fantastic honour to get such a great platform to showcase the film. And the response has been just fantastic. Just today, we received 4 stars from the Sydney Morning Herald, who reviewed the film, which couldn't be better. So yeah, we're just really hoping that the film engages and attracts audiences, and that they come and see it in cinemas on the weekend. And it's very important, the opening weekend, for all movies, because if we don't get the audiences, then the cinemas take us off the screen. So my plea is for everybody to make a night of it or make a day of it, get your friends together, go and see a film that hopefully will really resonate with you. As I said, there's an Indian chapter in there that features Bengali, but otherwise there's just so many universal themes of love and family that I think will appeal. So please do go out and see the film. I would be very grateful, and I think I'm really hoping that you all enjoy it. So yes, happy to answer any other questions. Oh yes, Pratima Auntie, thank you. She went to see it. I think 2 weeks ago we had a media screening. And yeah, that's really nice of you, Auntie. Thank you for saying that. It is different to mainstream movies. Yeah, quite a unique film, both in its format, in its cast, in its languages. There's a lot of unique elements to the film. Yeah, so what else? Any other questions I can answer? Not quite. Oh, great. I can see him, Auntie. You're going to try and get together with a group of people and go and see the film. You can find everything about the film at hereoutwestfilm.com, and we have all the cinemas. We've got quite a few in Western Sydney, also Dendy, Newtown, lots in Sydney. There's a few in other capital cities around Australia. And interestingly, our distributor is Mind Blowing World, who's headed up by another Indian lady who releases all the Bollywood films in Australia. What made you go into production? I think I've always loved the power of storytelling. I think as a child, I really enjoyed writing stories. I think creativity is something that really appeals to me. And at school, I loved being involved in theatre. Not particularly as an actor, but being part of a team that brought together so many different creatives to transport an audience in an emotional way. And so at that time, I just thought, I want to be a part of this. And what other creative format does that? Films do. Even though it's not live, you get a lot more time to build a story and really transport your audience into a different world so they can escape from their daily lives just for a moment. I absolutely love watching films and now television. It really is my escape. It's my relaxation. It's also very stimulating. It's thought-provoking. You can learn about the world. You can experience different cultures, different lives. It basically, I think, can take you out of your living room or the movie theater somewhere across the world. Yeah. So yes, why not a director? I think directors are such amazingly talented people. I think I realized that this is a very specific answer, but I don't feel like I had the visual skills that a director has to be able to see the shots, and the fact that they were on set for 12, 14 hours a day just directing actors. I felt I couldn't be in that sort of detail of the film. My strength was more in the overseeing the bigger picture of the film rather than the nuance and detail and visual skill it requires to actually direct actors and figure out where the camera should be in order to string together the film. I found that almost too rigorous. So hats off to directors. I definitely love working with actors. I love directing actors. That there's certain parts of directing that I really, really do love. And maybe one day I will go back to it. But for the moment, I really like producing. So was it difficult starting out being one of the, yes. I still go to events and I look around, or conferences, screen conferences, and I look around, and it's just incredible how few people of color they are. It's quite a white industry. I think maybe a lot of that has to do with how tough it is to get into the industry, so that a lot of the people who are working there have had some sort of leg up. Either they were financially secure enough to not have to really make a living, or they were getting money from private sources in order to make films. So they do say the film industry is quite a privileged industry like that. Slowly we're seeing that the doorways are opening, and that you don't just have the same people and their friends and networks joining the industry. And that was really why Here Out West was important. It was about opening the door to people who otherwise didn't have the networks or the contacts to break in, because it is quite a tough industry and it's all about who you know, and the door is often closed and opportunities are limited. We definitely have a smaller industry in Australia than in the UK or the US. So absolutely, it was difficult starting off. And I have to say, if I wasn't an entertainment lawyer, that was my way in. If I had just tried to be a director, I don't think I would be here today telling you about my next feature film. I used entertainment law, working as the lawyer for film producers, to make contacts, to meet producers who would then get to know me and got me inside their production company. So that was sort of my strategic move into the film industry. And I really hope it changes, because I think there are so many diverse creatives out there who deserve to have an opportunity to tell their stories. Oh, hi. Yes, Geethanti, thank you. Is it hard to get investors? Very hard, very hard. I think we're lucky in Australia that we have Screen Australia and also Create New South Wales and all the state funding agencies. I don't think there is government investment in places like America, but ours is still a very small industry. If you have a look at what's showing at the movies, it's, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's majority overseas blockbusters, whether it's, you know, a Marvel movie or a big, you know, action film. So we are competing against the big English speaking juggernauts of the US and the UK. And it's really hard, I think, in our industry to get investment. So we relied very heavily on the government aid. We were funded entirely for Here Out West by Screen Australia, Create New South Wales. ABC also contributed to the finance, and our post-production facility contributed to the finance. So that's how we managed to raise the finance for it. So yeah, how easy is it to get into this field? I think it's still really tough to get into film producing and the film industry in general. It takes, I think, a lot of persistence and patience, I think. Like, it took me 10 years of working as an entertainment lawyer before I got my first break to be a producer on a feature film. So it's not something that you can do in a year, I would say. I mean, some people do. Of course, there are the stories of people who overnight manage to break through and become hugely successful. But by and large, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work. It still is very much about networks, who you know, and otherwise, you know, studying film, meeting other people that you can collaborate with, who can help you make films and prove that you've got what it takes to actually get paid work in the industry. So it is, I think it is an extremely tough industry. I think the arts generally is very tough across the board. So yes, I guess the answer to that, very tricky, but I look back and I think, even though it took me 10 years, I'm really glad I chose to do entertainment law and use that as my way of making contacts. A feature film and a short film. So a feature film is usually, well, in this country, minimum 80 minutes long, over an hour long. And of course, feature films can be as long as 3 hours, as we know. I think we've got so many Bollywood films that are really, really long with intermissions and the like. A short film is not as long as that. Usually they're around anything from 5 minutes to, say, 20 minutes is a short film. And a short film is the way a lot of people start out. It's how you prove that you've got the skills and the talent to make a feature film. It's your calling card to show investors, this is what I made as my short film. I'm ready to make a feature film. So that's really, it's an important stepping stone to doing a feature film. And you can make short films on your iPhone. You know, the cameras are so great. If you've got editing skills, you can make a short film for next to nothing. And I did that. I made it for a couple of $100, one of my short films that ended up winning a prize that got me into the film school as a scholarship. So again, a very important stepping stone to getting into the industry. An independent film. Yeah, good question. I think we use that term to describe any film that hasn't had major studio investment. And by the studio investment, I mean the big studios like Disney or Warner Brothers or, you know, Paramount. They're called the big blockbusters. They're a studio film, as opposed to an independent film, which is made outside of that, the studio environment, where you have much bigger budgets and you basically have to raise the funding from all different sources. Whereas that's an independent film, whereas a studio film, they will fund the entire thing. So it's not independent. It's made by a company, owned by a big company from the get-go. Whereas something like Here Out West, it's a film that's, you know, owned by the production companies and the many investors that put in to make the budget for the film. An open content film and a fan film. I'm actually not entirely sure what that is. I think that there is this concept of you can make a film by using any video clips that you find on certain websites on the internet, existing content that isn't subject to copyright laws, and you can just collect that content, or you can make a film and make it available for anybody without having to pay for it, and so it becomes freely available. So I think that's what an open content film is, but I've got to say I'm not entirely sure about that terminology. A fan film, again, not entirely sure what that means. I think it could be something that there is such a thing as crowdfunding a feature film, so you can make a call out to using those crowdfunding platforms to say, I have this idea, everybody chip in. If we make, I don't know how much, $50,000, we'll go out and make it, and then it'll be something that we all created together, I suppose. Film and movie are interchangeable to me. There's no difference between the two. I think I use the word film. Movie, I think, is a bit more of a, I mean, they're both, I guess, film. We don't shoot technically on film anymore. We shoot digitally. So again, even film, if we're being technical, is probably a little bit outdated. But no difference between a film and a movie. I guess movies technically could be filmed on your phone or anything, whereas in the olden days, film was shot on film, where you had to, you know, how we all know what it used to be like when you had to buy your Kodak film and put it into your stills camera and go to a place to get it developed. So that's how films used to be made. These days, not so. You can just, again, do it on your iPhone or do it on a digital camera, and it's already there in front of you. Yeah, what else can I answer? Oh, it's so nice seeing so many of my old auntie friends from the Kannada community on here. So nice to see your names. It's been a long time. I'll wait to see if there's any other questions. Oh, ALI'S Wedding, sure. So yes, ALI'S Wedding was another independent film that I made through the company I was working for as an entertainment lawyer. They're called Matchbox Pictures, um, a very reputable big production company based in Sydney and Melbourne. It was written by an actor and a writer called Osama Sami, and it was almost autobiographical. He had quite an extraordinary tale of basically forging his university results in order to get into medicine, because he was the son of the community's cleric, of the mosque's cleric, and it was expected that he should become a doctor. So he forged his results and went to university. It was a very long time in development. I think we were writing the script. Well, I wasn't writing it, but I was working with the writers who were writing the screenplay for a good 7 years before we actually got it financed. And once the finance came together, we filmed it in Melbourne. And it was an absolutely beautiful experience. I think everybody who came on board to make the film, just like with Here Out West, was really passionate about telling a story that needed to be told, that was trying to do something different, that was going into a world that we hadn't seen represented properly on screen. There were no issues in terms of the actual filming of it. Afterwards, when we were releasing it, we had a lot of great response in Australia. I think it was quite hard to get an overseas sale or a film festival, because our film came out at the same time as another Muslim rom-com. Not that there can only be one, which again shows you that more of these films need to be made, but there was a wonderful film called, I think, The Big Sick, out at the same time, and whenever we tried to get it shown, we often would get, oh, we've already got that programmed. Anyway, long story short, we managed to sell it to Netflix, which was fantastic, and that was the result we wanted, because ultimately we just wanted as many people as possible to see this film. And Netflix, everybody has Netflix, so it was a good ending to trying to get the film seen by as many people as possible. So yeah, that was ALI'S Wedding, and we did so well in Australia. We screened at the Sydney Film Festival, and I think we won the Audience Award. We screened at the Melbourne Film Festival and won the Critics Award. We screened in Perth and won the top prize there, which came with a big cash prize of $100,000, which was amazing. So it just showed us that there was a real appetite for a film like ALI'S Wedding. So I'm just really hoping that Here Out West is similar. I mean, we're off to a good start with Sydney Film Festival having the opening night slot, but right now our big concern is we're trying to release a film in COVID times, and you know, there's probably less people. It's looking like it's getting better. Apparently people are still going to the movies, and I've heard that there's interestingly not much there hasn't been any reported cases of transmission in a movie cinema, which is interesting. Maybe it's because it's big. So we're really hoping that despite the pandemic, we still survive in theaters. Yeah. Do you have to take permission before shooting? Yes, like film production, I think we had a crew of 80 people on Here Out West, and similarly for ALI'S Wedding, it takes a huge army of people because the number of permissions you have to get to actually roll cameras, start shooting, is a lot. So we have 6 weeks of preparation time. We call that pre-production. In that time, we do all the casting, we find all the locations, we figure out all the costumes, we figure out all the sets, the props, we get all the permissions from the councils, the private homeowners, wherever we want to shoot, we have to get permission to do that. If we want to use a certain song in a scene and we haven't composed it ourselves, you have to get permission to use that song. If you want to use an artwork, like what's behind me, if this was in a film, I'd probably have to get permission from all the artists if they have copyright in that artwork. So there's a lot of prep work that goes into hitting that first day of shoot. 6 weeks worth of preparation and 80 or so people to have everything ready in order for that first day to happen. So yeah, I hope that answers your question in terms of the permissions. It's basically anything that you see on screen or can hear on screen, you're supposed to have a written agreement, and that goes to the cast. Obviously, you have to sign a contract to appear in it. Yeah, or any of the music or the props, it's yeah, has to get permission. How do you choose the subject matter of the film? Really interesting question. I think for me, I get a lot of submissions from writers. So often the way it works is that the writers or their agents, if they have an agent, will send their script to a production company or a producer and ask them to take a read of it and see if it's something they would like to produce, help them actually make. We get a lot of those submissions at the company I work for and with my own company. And I'm always looking for that script, like I said before, that has something different or meaningful to say. And in my case, I'm pretty much always now making stories that are diverse or set in a different community, and not necessarily even the Indian community, like with ALI'S Wedding in the Iraqi community. So I look for a script that or an idea, if there's not a script yet, that feels like it's very unique, that it's a story that has to be told, that it's surprising. In terms of the types of films that I like to produce, I'm very much producing dramas in terms of like normal human dramas. I'm not interested in action films or supernatural films, or that we call them genre films, or horror films. That's not what I look for. So if it's a human drama film that moves me in some way, that has something important to say about the world, that feels unique and fresh, and if it's a script, you can tell pretty quickly if the writer has that talent just by reading the script. And often it actually comes down to people that you already know or are working with. Like I'm working on another television series now with Asami from ALI'S Wedding, and you build those relationships and you end up collaborating again and again, I think, with the people that you see that you most sort of click with. So in other instances, if I'm writing the script, I kind of am inspired by, yeah, things that interest me in the world around me, or things that I think will be entertaining for others. That's why I wanted to make Arranging Love, again, to demystify the arranged marriage, and Spy Sisters, because I hadn't seen two 50-plus Indian ladies as lead actors in a short film, and I thought their story, the story of two women whose children had now grown up and that they were looking for something to fulfill themselves, was a different story to tell. So yeah, that's how I've been sort of choosing what subject matter I write about or what scripts I take on. Who does all the preparation work? Yeah, to make a film, the producer oversees all these different departments to make the film. So the departments include the locations department, speaks for itself, costume department, speaks for itself, production design. So they work out exactly what the props or the sets are going to look like there might be a scene set in a kitchen. Well, what does that kitchen look like? What era is it from? What colors would work together well on screen? So they're in charge of what the look of the film is. Obviously, there's the camera department, and the cinematographer oversees that department. And then when you get into post-production, you've got the editing department, the sound department. So there's all these various departments that make up a film team. Each of them have their separate leaders, and then overseeing all of them is the producer, who brings them together, and because they know that, you know, the locations team need to be talking to the production design. Everybody needs to be talking to each other and communicating in order to get the best result. So yeah, so as a producer, do you supervise anyone? And yes, look, you're sort of, it's supervising, sure. I also like to say it's collaborating with all these other leaders of each of the departments. We call them heads of department. They're the creatives, like the production designer or the cinematographer, or the costume designer. So you're not so much, you're supervising them insofar as you're making sure that the costume department are able to stay on budget, I guess. So you have cost reports, and you're constantly speaking to the head of the costume department to make sure everything's going okay in a budget sense. So yeah, it's a very interesting hierarchy. Again, is the wrong word, but everybody has their responsibilities, and the producer's there to oversee all of it. There's also obviously the production team, and that includes the producer. Then we have someone called the line producer, or the production manager, and they're involved in the nitty gritty, what everything costs, everything from, I don't know, like the props in the kitchen scene to, I don't know what, basically every last detail, they have to be across it in terms of the budget. So that's the production team, and we sit in the production office, and we've got a team of, you know, often 5 or 6 people, working with the actors, sending out the schedule. Like someone's got to schedule the whole film, and there's a whole department for scheduling the film, figuring out how many scenes are shot per day, who's in those scenes. If it rains on what day, what do we do? How do we swap out the scene? Who does the marketing and distribution? Yes, so that falls on to the distributor, who works closely with the producers often. So there's not that many distributors in Australia. Like I said, the distributor that we have for Here Out West is Mind Blowing World, who distribute all the Bollywood films in Australia and very successfully do that. So the distributor takes on the film, they watch it, they figure out what is the best way to market this film, what is the messaging, what are the byline, what are the little log lines that we want to put out on Facebook or on posters, what does the poster look like. They work with the producers, they make recommendations as to who's going to see the film. It's an entire skill set that producers, we have to have a little bit of an idea of marketing and who is our audience. I think that's always the first question you have to ask yourself is, who am I making this film for? Who do we think is actually going to go and see this film? But the distributors take that on, and they create all the marketing assets. Then they book all the cinemas, they send them all the marketing materials, and then they handle all the press. So we've had some great press. We've been on, SBS radio. We were on Sunrise. I think somebody said that they saw the interview with Beena Bhattacharya on Sunrise, one of our writers, who's also Indian. So yeah, it's a big job. It's an expensive job for distributors to do. We don't have the marketing budgets that a big Hollywood film would have, where you see posters on the sides of buses or, television commercials. We don't even have that for our trailer. So yes, that once the film is made, we sort of hand it over to a distributor to go and find an audience. But we work very closely with the distributor, because I think nobody knows the film, especially in the independent film world, than the producer. We know who we're trying to make it for, what are our assets that we've got, what are the stories behind the making of the film that we can share to try and help the promotion. So yeah. What is the hierarchy of production? Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to, I suppose, break it down. I think I would say on set, the director is the boss. The director, everybody looks to the director for guidance as to how a scene is shot, what should the lighting be like. So I think probably the most important person that a producer hires on a production is the director, because they're going to be in charge of everything that happens on set, and it's their vision that you need to help protect, I guess, in the making of a film. The only thing that the director has to, I guess, sort of report back, well, it depends on the relationship. Some directors are hugely collaborative. They want to have the producers and the writers feedback and input on all aspects of the filmmaking. The one area that I think the director works closely with the producer on is whether or not their vision can be achieved within the budget. So if a director said, I actually need to film in this, I don't know, on this huge skyscraper, and we might say, well, that's not possible. We don't have the budget to hire that location. So we need to work out what is your next idea to make that scene work. Do we get the writer back in to figure out that we can't shoot that scene there, so rewrite the scene? That's constantly what we're doing during production, figuring out what's possible, what's not, and how to adapt the script in order to make it possible. So I think the producer does sort of, again, oversee or sit above all the various departments to make sure that the film can be made for the budget it's got, but also creatively with the intention that we set out to make it at the beginning of the journey. And because we've often been on from day one. Now, if you've got a writer director, there's many of those, they will be right there alongside you because they similarly have been on the journey since the first day pen was put to paper and know the creative intention. Is there a requirement with the producer to be present? Yes. I think the producer doesn't have to be on set all day. No, we actually have too much else to do, problem solving back in the production office, trying to, put out fires is what we say. There'll always be some sort of problem, whether it's suddenly a cast member is got sick. So what are we going to do about the schedule? We can't have them until another week. Or so the producer does go out. I tend to go out onto set where we have a big shooting day, and I know that we'll need there's a person called the first assistant director who's responsible for the schedule. So if there's a big shooting day and we know there's a chance that you could go into overtime, which is very expensive, then maybe I might come out onto the set and be there so that if the director and the first assistant director at any point needs to come and chat and we make decisions on the spot to say, okay, we can't complete this scene today, let's move it to tomorrow, or we can complete it, but it means that we can't get the 3 different camera angles. So what are we going to do? We have to, it can be a bit stressful because then you'll often have the cinematographer saying, no, I need all those angles to make it look right. So like I said before, I think one of the reasons why I moved away from directing is because I didn't love being on set for these very long, rigorous days. I found it very taxing and tiring and not as interesting, I guess. I think my interest sort of waned a little bit. So I don't tend to be on set every single day, all day. I'll just come out, if we've got a new cast member starting, I'll be there to meet them if I haven't already met them during the rehearsal period. Any other big complicated days, we'll make sure that we're around. And I always like to try and get to set for the breaks, for the lunches, that I can talk to all the heads of department, check in, see how things are going, what are the issues, what's stressful, what's going well. It's all part of the problem solving and just, being a good communicator, I guess, to keep the machine running and make sure that you can make the film, get the film made. Yeah. Producer to be present as well. Yes, and so and similarly in the editing stage, we leave the director and the editor to have the freedom to edit the film, and then we come in once we hit what we call as a rough cut, and then we come in and give notes, and then we leave them to it, come back again for the fine cut, give notes, and then come back again for what we call the picture lock off. So the producer sort of comes in to the process for any big milestones to give notes and feedback. Yeah, opening credits. Oh my goodness. I said, oh my goodness, because I've often found it really, really one of the most creatively challenging elements. They say that the first 10 minutes of any film is the most important, because if you don't hook the audience in the first 10 minutes, they'll leave, especially if you're watching it on Netflix, you'll turn it off. So what happens in that first 10 minutes is so important. And I think the opening titles is the opening credit sequence as part of that. What does it look like? Is it graphics or is it actually moving images? What is the font you're going to select for the credits? Some films don't even have opening credits. They just have them all at the end in the closing credits. So I think how you how you bring that together is really important. That's one of the big parts. If you're doing a more graphics kind of, so it's not just live action, that happens in post-production. So that's what we did for ALI'S Wedding. We had a scripted, we call it pre-title sequence, and then what are we going to have for when the title comes up? We chose like a Islamic kind of, it's not Islamic, it's a mosaic, kind of like what you'd see at a mosque, a beautiful tessellated tile background, and the title comes up, and it has to go to an animator and a graphic designer to come up with what that beautiful opening title looks like. The music, I think, is so important. I think I love music, and I think it has the potential to make or break scenes in a whole film in some cases. So composing the opening music, unless you license a song to use in your opening sequence, that's a huge part of, I think, any film. So there's a lot that goes into it. The closing credits are a little bit more straightforward. Often they're just text on black. Sometimes you can have something a bit more interesting, like photographs you might see as the end credits. And we have quite a lovely end credit sequence for Here Out West, which I won't spoil, but it is quite a beautiful sort of wrapping up of the movie. So I think, yeah, starting and ending, hugely important, because you want to leave that end frame and how you end a movie. You want to leave the audiences feeling moved, uplifted, sad, whatever it is your intention. That's the last thing they're going to experience before they walk out of the cinema or switch the television off. And how they felt at the end is probably how they're going to call up their friends and tell them, oh, you have to see it, or you don't bother seeing it, something like that. So we definitely put a lot of thought into how to open and close a movie. Yes, such interesting questions. I didn't realize it would be such a deep dive into the filmmaking process. I was thinking, oh, I'll just tell you all about Here Out West opening tomorrow, but no, I really enjoyed, talking about the whole journey of what it is to make a film from start to finish. And look, I have to say, it's intense. It can be stressful. I've had some periods of my life where I thought, oh my goodness, I can't do this. Especially I've got 2 small children now, and after having kids, I thought, oh, it's so stressful and intense. And you kind of only make one film every 2 years if you're lucky. But now that I look back, I just think it's all of those things, but it's also the most rewarding and exciting and challenging thing to do at the end of it. You come together with a huge group of people who become like family for an intense period of time, and you get to create something that hopefully will last forever, and lots of people get to see and enjoy and are moved by it. So it's worth all the stress and the blood, sweat and tears, I think, at the end of the day. Yes, experience on previews, watching before release. Yeah, look, I think we always show the film to an audience that doesn't even know anything about it. We call it a test screening just before we actually formally finish the film, just to get any feedback about what doesn't make sense. That's always a really nerve-wracking time to be showing the film, because often it's not completely finished. We do so much in post-production, like fixing the lighting and the coloring, and fixing the sound is so important. As a huge part of the post-production of a film is making sure you can hear it all properly, and that you've got all the sound effects and the atmosphere and the sound design. That's always very tense, but it's very important, I think, to do that sort of test screening with people who know nothing about the film and get a general audience reaction. Once it's finished, I take great delight so far in showing the film to audiences ahead of its general release. We do that not that much because we want to keep it special for the film festival opening or for its cinema release. So there's got to be a specific reason for having those screenings. Often it might be a screening for investors, or for people who are a cast and crew screening is always hugely exciting, because everyone who comes to see it knows the making of the film, have lived and breathed it with you. So yeah, they're always good fun, but nothing can compare to that first film festival screening or wherever you show it to a general audience. And for us, that was at the Sydney Film Festival opening night for Here Out West, and that was just extraordinary. And it was made special because for a minute Sydney Film Festival wasn't going to happen because we were all in lockdown, and so there was a chance that the whole festival wouldn't happen. And then finally we got to go ahead with 75% capacity, Yeah, so that, and just to hear an audience's reaction, you can actually feel what the audience is experiencing. I don't know, there's something in the room, and you know, when they laugh or when they gasp, and to hear that the audience is actually engaged and they're not, I don't know, checking their phone or getting distracted, it's a pretty special feeling to be in a cinema with an audience, and makes me reflect on there is a difference between watching a movie by yourself in your living room, which I love doing, but also going to a cinema. There's something special. You're sort of experiencing the movie where you can't really get distracted. You can't pause and get up and make a cup of tea and come back. You're uninterrupted. You're in a dark room with amazing sound, which contributes so much to how a movie is received. You're sharing the experience with other people that you don't know, and you get to, I guess, for that 90 minutes, however long, completely switch off to the outside world and be completely engrossed in what you're seeing on screen. So I think long live cinema. I don't think it'll ever die. It'll always be something that provides something special compared to, yeah, watching things on your television. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for such nice questions and comments. Do you have risks of not making money after investing in it? Well, I haven't personally. I used to invest in my short films, like fund them myself. But when you're looking at a feature film, and the budgets that I've worked on for my feature films have been small compared to big blockbusters, but it's still much more money than I could ever afford. So the budgets were like around 3 million to 6 million for my feature films, and television projects can be much more, 10 million plus. So I'm never personally investing in that, other than obviously my time and energy and emotion or whatever. But it's for the third party investors, the private financiers. Of course, there's risks. They may not get their money back if it doesn't do well. So yes, I can't speak to. I mean, a lot of investors don't just do it to get their money back or to make money. They do it because they care about the film. But I think that's why it's great in this country that we have Screen Australia and other government agencies that can help reduce the risk, because they're sharing that investment risk with the other private investors. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed this. I guess I should leave you to your evenings, looking at the time. I'm sorry, I wasn't even sure, Auntie, what time we're meant to stop, but all I can say is thank you so much for having me, for letting me share my journey of becoming a film producer and the journey of making Here Out West. It is a film that I'm really, really proud of. I can't wait to see what audiences think, and I hope you all get to see it at the movies. So yeah, I guess I should say good night and sign off. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Enjoy your evenings. All right. All the best.